Okay, can't do this with this though. That's the sucky part. All right. What I was going to write down and send to you, and actually I did write it all down, but I didn't send it to you because you say you do better in person, right? Okay. So, how a normal divorce would work is everything, and you've heard me say this before, date of marriage, date of separation, that is what we're working with. Anything outside of those two is separate property. So, for instance, and I always use this as an example, when you're together, doesn't matter whether or not you're working or whether or not he's working. If one of you is working, it's not my money, it's our money, okay? If I go out and get a loan or some debt or what have you during the marriage, that's our debt. Doesn't matter even if I know about it. It's just, that's how it works, okay? So that's kind of the overall starting point. So what you both have to do, and I think you have done it already, I'm almost positive you both have done it, is preliminary declaration of disclosures. And it looks like you have. So those are the income and expense declaration and your schedule of assets and debts. So what I usually do is I take the schedule of assets. I don't actually do this, but I'll tell you. We take the schedule of assets and debts and we put it into a form. It's a family law form to get a sense of where we are. Now we are, you, me, and Toby, are trying to work this out such that we don't have to go to court. And in fact, because there's the issue of spousal support, and along with the issue of spousal support, if whoever's asking for spousal support has the obligation to get employed, and the statute says within a reasonable period, become self-supporting. But you and I have had discussions about what you would like to do with your life, and to the extent that we can, there's possibilities to use all of those laws to make it equitable for both of you. And at the same time, you will have a spousal support order, but we can reduce that down to, so if you get it every month, you get it every month. But your obligation, you have to show the court that you're being reasonable about going out and getting a job. And so, but you and I talked about, and nothing's set in stone, but you and I talked about your likes and what you feel you're good at. And what you feel you're good at is in fact art. I don't know what kind of art. I don't know if it's art you put on the wall or
any and all kinds of art. I am that creative. Turns out I can literally do anything.
Fabulous. So, and in order to do that, because I can't even draw a straight line. Now my husband, he does artwork, and he's an engineer, but he's creative that way. So, so what I do initially, and I've got a set for you, and I want to go over this with you so that you understand it. And I've given this also to Toby, and we've gone over it. So this first page is just a summary, and it's the last page summary. So this is your stuff, okay? Now some of those things on that list, and I'm just going to, so for instance, the very first one is the house, right? When I spoke to the real estate agent, I got the sense that it was going to sell for more than $515,000. So how that split is half and half after the debt's paid, okay? So if you go to joint, the very first column is 515, and then you have as of this date, which I don't even remember anymore when it was $191,000 debt on the house, which would leave $323,000 left over, divided in half to you and half to him. And so everything on this list is community except a couple of things. For instance, if you go to 14, well, actually, before we even go to 14, number 8, the Volvo.
Mm-hmm.
The Volvo, he says, was his from before you were married.
Yes, absolutely. I don't
Okay.
want anything to do with it whatsoever. It's been in the driveway and causing problems this whole time.
Okay. Well, hopefully we'll get that sucker moved and that house sold, right?
Yes.
And then if you go to 7, actually, this doesn't look like the right one. Oh, no, because you guys got 15. That doesn't look like the right. Oh, no. I'm looking at the wrong one. You have the right one. Because yours has a different number, doesn't it?
I don't know. 7 is listed as the BMW that we sold.
And what numbers are there?
Oh,
the client's changes. Here we go, right here. Because I thought he gave you $750 from it, which he did, but you both got $750. So if you look at number 7, it has 1 and 1.
Mm-hmm.
That means it's not an issue anymore because.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So going down to the retirements again, going to 14, he started working recently with a CBRE company. That's the name of the actual 401k. That would only go to him because it was after the date of separation. But along those lines, going way back up to the top, this, I think it's either the CalPERS or the Sonic. I'm not sure. I can't tell you exactly right now.
Mm-hmm.
One of those has a separate property interest in it. In other words, he had it prior to your marriage, but then he had it during your marriage.
Mm-hmm.
He has told me if we can make we can get to a goal here and have a final agreement, he doesn't care. He's just splitting it 50-50.
Okay.
So that this is kind of I'll go down to gaming.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just pointing out things I know that are still at the house or something like that. You both have a gaming outfit.
Yeah.
And so he just put $500 for both of them.
Yeah.
And then so they equalize each other out. If you go to the next page and you go all the way to the bottom, I think it's actually the 3rd page. No, it's the 2nd page. If you get to the bottom, by dividing everything 50-50, it comes out that you would actually owe him $56.20 because the numbers, like for instance, the vehicle, the one you have that you paid off prior to the Hyundai. Is that the one you have?
Yes.
Okay. Well, he paid it off, so it is just we have no debt against that vehicle. So that's probably where it is. In order to tell you exactly where it is, I have to actually put them where they belong to figure it out. But that's the bottom line there. Now, that does not include all the things that he's been paying on your behalf, which it would be offset somewhat by the fact that you are supposed to be getting spousal support. You and I talked about that as well. So big picture, there are about $17,000, he said, in credit card debt and all this other stuff that he's paid from his separate property after date of separation for you. Again, I'm just giving you info. It's not saying he wants that money back if we can reach an agreement. So my position is that once we get that house sold, we'll know how much money we have, right? And then if we have, because according to the guy I talked to, who is, I don't get any commission from him or anything, he's just a person I know because of all the sheriffs that I've actually worked with in the past, and he's actually a PD, was a PD, and he and his wife started working in real estate. Really nice guy, you'll like him. Anyway, he thinks it'll sell for another 100, and he hasn't seen the property yet. Okay, so once we do that, we'll have that much more money, because if you look at the bottom line before you get to the husband, with this, like we're doing it the way we are, cutting everything in half, you're going to have $186,000. Some of it will be in retirement, but you will have $186,000. He will have $186,000. Some of it in retirement, but he'll have that much. So then he's in a better position to be able to say, okay, if you want to buy out of spousal support, okay, here's my chunk of money. Let's work with that. Still have your 186. We just would have more money to work with, because right now we don't. We don't have the money to work with. So the other thing you and I have been talking about things that need to get done to get you out of the house so that we can get it on the market. One of the things that I meant to do, but I didn't get to it, unfortunately, which was to call the place that I think I told you this. I had a house, well, I have a house that was part of the Tubbs fire, the 2017 Tubbs fire. So when our house was rebuilt, we moved, and we use a local company because I checked all the other companies, and it's down by Piner, I think is where they are. I have to look up find out where they were the most reasonable. They were very good about not breaking anything and all that stuff. So so I thought I called them, but I don't know how much stuff you intend to move. That's one of the things. I know that there is some cleanup that needs to be done, and I've talked to trying to get the expenses off you because you don't have that $186,000 right now to use for any of that, correct?
Correct.
Okay, so I've talked to Toby and I said, can you maybe take care of that portion of it? Once she gets the things marked that she wants out of there, then you get a crew in and take care of it. So that money, whatever that cost is, will come off of the rental, sales proceeds at the end. What else? You were going to do some research about finding a place to store whatever it is you wanted to store if you couldn't find somewhere immediately to go to move to.
I can make a lot of things happen when I actually have money to make anything happen.
Okay, so
There's been no point in finding a place to go when I don't know how much money I'm going to get or how long that's going to last or anything. There's no plans I can make with no money to work with. I have been trying to get to this point. So for instance, it's pretty easy to pick a storage place. I've determined that I can fit all my things within a 10 by 10, so I know the size unit I would want.
Okay.
It depends on which place I go, but I haven't yet figured out where I'm gonna move to, so it would kind of depend on where I'm going to stay, where the relative location of the storage unit. But with that, I found out it's just an easy ballpark for a nice one that's really secure would be $250 a month for a 10 by 10.
Okay, thank you.
And then there's I need to get the car work done because there was work needed to be done on it before he even left. The current estimate I've got on that, took it to a shop to look it over and to be able to get it, back up and running and with, actually decent tires on it, it's $2,000. But there's a lot of other things I need to address just about my actual health and things with the dental stuff. I don't have a current up-to-date estimate on that because my teeth have gotten a lot worse in the last year that I haven't been going to the dentist because I didn't have any money to pay for it. Because I have to pay up front even though it's covered by insurance, and then I get reimbursed, and I just don't have the money to work with anymore with that. So there's several things that need to get done immediately. And at this point, because hopefully the house could get sold right away, but I'm also, I have been terrorized for more than a year.
By the neighborhood?
No. By supposedly friends and family, my husband and my in-laws and his lawyer.
The in-laws' lawyers or Roz?
Roz. Okay. So I have been getting threatened with police and other legal actions the entire time because whether you understand it or not, this is a domestic violence situation. I can prove it. So this is not me sitting here saying, I'm blaming him or whatever. I'm telling you, the situation around the entire divorce is not what was presented to you. I was literally deserted during a medical emergency. I was in the ER.
Okay.
So, this, I would like to play nice, because I just want to get on with my damn life.
I would think
But
so.
everything that's been done and said to me by a ton of different people has been to nothing other than to try and convince me that I'm in the wrong, and that's not the case. I have been threatened constantly with eviction from that house because I was told when that brief period of time when I did have a lawyer, through Roz to my lawyer, I was told he was going to buy me out, or he offered to buy me out, and I accepted. And then shortly after, before this discovery process could even get finished, things got more and more confused. Like, Carol was getting confused by Roz, the information she was getting from her. And then she would, try and call me and try and straighten things out. I'm like, I don't even know what she's talking about. So that was already getting derailed. And then the situation with my family got worse again. And they, pulling their weird control issues, they yanked the money that I was, my ability to pay for the lawyer. That's why I don't have one. So it switched to me having to represent myself. Roz never communicated with me as if I was representing myself. And as soon as I didn't have a lawyer anymore, it became, you need to move out. We need to get the house sold. You're holding things up. I'm like, whoa, what? I thought I was getting bought out. And then she just goes right into, like, he doesn't have any money to buy you out. And I'm just like, wait, what? And, like, it's been nonstop, like, what the heck is going on? None of this makes any sense. So that's why I'm very beyond frustrated. And so when I look like I'm agitated, I know who I am, and I also know why it has nothing to do with you.
And I got that.
And, it's just that I am beyond frustrated because I have been dealing with this, yes, for more than a year and a half, because I've gone through so many different services, different organizations. I've talked to so many people on so many different hotlines. I don't even know the amount of times I've attempted to talk to somebody in like Sonoma County Legal Aid. Like, everyone gives me the wrong information, conflicting information. I find out from someone else when they hand me off. Like, they don't know why the other person sent me to them because that's not their department. I'm just like, oh my God.
That would make you nuts.
No, absolutely. And then, that's like on every level. So the thing with them even, getting that hearing to get the eviction notice or like whatever order.
Get that order.
That was nothing that they presented in order to get that hearing was true. Or if it, like the pictures he took, those were falsely represented. Like, everything about it was completely skewed and like already meant to make me look like I'm sabotaging the house, and I'm not, like, at all. So I know that, and it was a shock to me to hear you say that Toby described me as a reasonable person.
He did.
Because that is not what he's been telling other people.
Well,
and
I have no reason to lie to you.
No, I know. And that's what I'm trying to say is, like, I know that that's true, and I know that you aren't lying to me. But that's where it gets confusing, because when he talks to other people, he is apparently saying completely different things to different people.
Okay.
And that's where I also get really confused. Mm-hmm. Because, and like I said, between the text from like at this point more than a year ago, text exchanges, email exchanges between me and him, they prove how inconsistent he is and how he's constantly changing the information and the way he's talking to me, and goes in and out of like saying one thing and I try and double check about it later. He's like, I never said that, or like, that's not what I meant. Like, okay, well then can we figure out what's going on? And then he just stopped talking to me again. So every step of the way, this has been a complete baffling experience. And so I was happy to hear that he's at least telling you that he thinks I'm a reasonable person, because yes, he used to think that. But like, the way everything was presented to get that hearing, he was accusing me of mental illness and like other things. He's like saying like I'm basically like essentially squatting to like punish him and like messing with the house to like make it harder to sell. Like on no level is that true. Like, I wanted out, I have no ability to get out. You know, like, so.
And then we had that $10,000, which you explained to me. You didn't understand why you got it, but you had $10,000.
Yes, I did. And then, you know, as life goes, like, more and more unexpected things keep happening. Things keep blowing up in my face. I get into these weird emergencies. I'm trying to deal with stuff. That's just not something, like, I don't have that money anymore. But it's not to say that it wasn't useful during, you know, that time period. But it was never going to really be enough to get moved out. But it was also, to me, that was me trying to manage this on my own, talking to Roz, because the way she was talking to me and communicating with me, and just, you know, hardcore, like, non-stop threats that she would literally say, the cops are going to come take you out of that house. You know, and, like, I know why I'm terrified of cops. It's a lifelong issue.
Oh, I didn't.
You know, and that's another thing, is like, I know why it's so terrifying that she kept using that over and over and over. You know, like, I've actually even done, like, live videos on Facebook and stuff like that, like, talking about, you know, like, why I'm terrified of the cops and, like, really bad interactions I've had with them. So, but I also know that's, like, that's where I get activated and agitated, so that I constantly don't feel safe in my own home with the threat of cops showing up. But I finally learned that was a misrepresentation on her part.
I don't know whether it was misrepresentation or anything.
No, it absolutely is, because it would be the sheriff's department for one thing, and there's a process.
So you see a difference between.
I absolutely see a difference. So, but aside from that, she did not describe the process of the eviction thing as it would go, because they're just trying to get me out of the house, and I do get that. But now that I know the process, I'm like, okay, well, once that eviction notice shows up on my house, then I'm actually eligible to have a public defender, because I can't afford a lawyer, because at that point it'll be like I'm in contempt or whatever. But
sweetheart, you're in contempt now.
Yes, I do realize that.
And family law and what you're describing is a tenant law.
This is not where I want this conversation to go now.
I've been listening quite long time.
Whether you understand autism or not, whether you understand the way I talk or the way my brain works or the way I emote, that doesn't matter. But the point is, when I'm talking, when my mind goes like that is because my brain connects everything. I can't disconnect them, because to me they are all related. So yes, when I do talk, it looks or sounds like I'm rambling to some people.
No,
other people, like, okay, thank you for that at least.
No, I don't think you're rambling. I think that.
But also, I am also dyslexic. I am also using terms that I'm grasping at. So when people think I'm confidently stating something, I'm not actually. It's just my affect, because I'm that nervous.
Okay. So
that doesn't really matter about the sequence of events. At this point, I am so frustrated and fed up with people acting like I'm holding things up when I know I've done nothing but try and work through this. I'm really, really, really getting angry about this whole situation. I know how hard I've worked on this, and I know exactly why. I've been in contact with multiple organizations with, you know, dealing specifically with domestic violence issues. This is how I got educated on a lot of the situation I'm in. So, to me, there's no way to disconnect that with this divorce. It is interconnected. I don't want it to be the main issue, but it is a factor, and if I'm not actually treated as though this is a problem...
I guess I don't understand, and maybe you can clarify for me.
I can try.
How what you feel and what you have gone through is relevant at this point.
It's relevant
Let me
because...
finish my question. Relevant to getting you out of the house based on a valid order until it's overturned, and it's not been overturned. Trying to work through this, trying to figure out when he first came to me, when I first talked to you. But I'm not sure. I get everybody's different. I can sit here and tell you all my ailments as well.
I'm not telling you my ailments.
No, you talked about you did.
I do not classify them or identify them as ailments. These are just the way I function.
Okay.
That I'm just learning.
Well, I thought you said you've been doing this for a while.
I've been doing this for about a year now because I am that late diagnosed with autism.
Okay.
I'm learning
Do you have
everything.
Medical by doctor, or just based on your research and how you know your
I do,
function?
and it's also nobody else's business.
Well, when you make it everybody else's business by telling...
Because UCSF screwed up everything with the assessment process and everything else.
Okay, all right.
It was verified through doctors at UCSF. I was supposed to get seen by a bunch of different departments. Mm-hmm. And they flubbed everything because everything was all screwy because it was, relatively the beginning of quarantine.
Okay.
I also know why. Every time I've tried to follow up with them, that's blown up in my face as well. But it's been verified by a ton of people.
Do you think you need to have a social worker help you do all these things?
Absolutely. I've been trying to do that this whole time.
Okay. Well, that's good that you've been trying to do that.
And it's been completely unsuccessful.
Okay. Again, what I would like to focus on, if you can do that, is...
I can certainly try.
Okay, and I appreciate that. Is how we get you out of the house without having to go back to court. And that's not a threat at all.
Yeah, I don't consider it a threat either because
Okay,
I'm totally perfectly willing to go to court if I need to.
Would you prefer a judge telling you that?
Absolutely not. But I will deal with it if it does. I also have Tourette's. When I get that frustrated, the cussing does come out. I've been containing it for a while.
Okay. So what I'm trying to do right now is to figure out how we get through this process.
I am trying to also, without involving the court. Yes, I understand, but it keeps coming up. And so I'm saying, yes, if it comes up, then I will have to deal with it. But that is not what I want to do.
But we can't stay in this stasis until...
No, we can't.
For however long...
Yeah, so I would like to talk about an amount of money that I get paid as soon as possible, and I will work on getting my ass out of that house within a couple of months. And then it can go...
That's probably not acceptable. And
okay.
The reason it isn't acceptable is because he's already given you $10,000, and he has to go borrow this money from the bank.
So an initial conversation that I had with you, you said to me that it didn't matter that he gave me that $10,000 if I don't have it now. That you understood that I would need money to actually get moved out. And before you had said that you had advised him that he would be needing to cash out part of his 401k to do that. It was news to me that you later told me.
Never cash out. I don't care how much you taped. There would never be a cash out because
that is a thing where this gets to the point about semantics because that's not my point. The point was you'd said you could draw money from there, whatever. I don't care. It's not a cash out thing. Whatever. Those things don't matter to me. To me, what matters is that you told me that you had told him he was going to need to give me more money so I could make an arrangement so I could get out.
But we don't... Giving you money at this point, for him at least, is not a guarantee that you're going to move out, and that's the problem.
Right. What guarantee, what opportunity have I had to actually move out? Because that $10,000, that was never even really discussed. Anything I said to Roz, nothing was confirmed. It was just put there.
I can't speak to what was. I can only speak to what
I know that. And so I'm trying to tell you, again, I don't know why everyone's acting like I'm sitting there and I'm causing problems. I want to move out. I am held up by certain things. So if I had money to work with, I would absolutely be out of there. Well,
as far as your mouth is concerned, your teeth,
mm-hmm.
As far as your car is concerned, you drove here.
Let
me finish.
Because I'm also in danger of needing to call AAA to pick up my car because it's broken because I drove it.
Having all these things that you're on your list could be resolved with the sale of that house. But how
am I supposed to even get arrangements to get out of the house when I can't even drive around barely with I had to take little side roads and stuff so I could keep the speed limit down so I could get here.
I don't know how. You're an adult woman and
my God. Okay, so
I am
this is devolving really fucking bad.
Let me finish. That's one of the things, Kiyoko. I don't know if it's part of the...
Yes, it's part of the Asperger's.
Okay, you need to actually lower it.
The way my volume works is also tied to the autism.
Okay,
it's an emotional thing.
I kind of think we're done because
yes, apparently we are done.
If you cannot speak in a kind way, and
so this is you
settled
discriminating
way,
against me for what other people do consider disability. I don't consider it a disability. I've tried to tell you before.
I have disabilities. So,
and I'm not using it as this thing like, oh, make exceptions for me. I've been trying to tell you, the volume of my voice is something that is tied to my emotions. My emotions are something that I was never allowed to express. I'm learning to try and do that now.
This is not an appropriate place to express them.
I'm not trying to express them because this is part of the autism, because this is part of what's called unmasking, because I have been containing my distress this entire time. It is starting to come out because the distress is growing, because of my frustration and my confusion, because I'm not sure why I'm not making sense to you. But the things you say to me make it clear.
You just are making, the part that doesn't make sense to me, if there's anything like that, is why you need all these things done as a condition for you leaving a house that is going to
How am I supposed to leave? How am I supposed to leave with no money to pay for a place to go, to pay for places to put the stuff, to get a car that's working so I can transport those things?
You're going to transport what things in a car? How big is the car? Is it like a SUV?
I'm not talking transport like moving like large objects, just to transport myself to different things, to coordinate stuff, to do whatever. To, again, have a way to even drive away from the house once the things get taken out of it.
Again, I think that you seem intelligent.
Oh, thank you.
Well, no, you do. And competent. So I would think that you'd be able to do it yourself.
With no money.
Well, I don't know about the no money thing. So you're telling me you have nothing in the bank at all?
I have less than $1,000 in the bank.
And you say you haven't really looked into somewhere to go.
No, I've looked into plenty of places, but there's been no plans because I have no even idea of a theoretical budget.
Give me an idea of what kind of places that you've looked at. I have to actually persuade. If we're going to try to get this as an agreement, it's not an agreement. Isn't this is what I want before I do what you want me to do?
Right. So I thought me coming in to tell you what I want was a place to start these negotiations.
That would be accurate, except all you're telling me is I want all these things. You tell me you need to get your teeth fixed, you need to get your car fixed.
And just because I tell you what I want doesn't mean like I'm going to be stuck on getting it. I'm just listing things off.
Okay, well, that's all we have right now. What else? Do you have any idea how much it would cost to move into somewhere that you think is sufficient for temporary? Because unless you don't want to do what we talked about before, which was to get a studio that you could actually work out of and live out of to do your artwork. That's what we talked about.
You mentioned it and
you said, yeah.
Yeah, because in a general sense, I thought you meant an art studio. I didn't know you were talking about housing a studio. But even that, around here, it's like nearly impossible to find a studio that's under $1,000 a month.
So what housing did you find? And was it for temporary or was it for...
I don't even know what you mean by temporary. Like, is there some definable category that I'm not aware of?
Well, it's a place that you'll have shelter temporarily until the house gets sold, that you can actually take the money from the house and get something that you want to live in for a longer period.
Okay, then fine. I am understanding your thing about temporary. Yeah, so... I'm not looking for a place that I'm going to, be happy to move into for the rest of my life because I want to travel. But, again, it didn't really matter because so many places are so expensive and they're, getting bought up, or rented out so quickly. Again, there's no point in really looking other than just, I can't afford anything. Because, all I had to work with is the $250 a week. And if so that amounts to roughly $1,000 a month. If I can't even find a place, that's even within that budget, how am I supposed to try and move anywhere? But in that sense, it's been more about trying to talk to people and network to see if anybody's got maybe they've got a separate unit on their property or something.
Mm-hmm.
but also because I had no like real guarantee of any sort of money, that, you know, there wasn't a way for me to even like offer or say like what I could afford to pay them a month, you know. But it's like, now if I know that I don't have, you know, like if I know that I've got several months, you know, taken care of, I can go just do that. I will make it work. But without money to work with, there's no reason for me to continue looking, because the price ranges are so...
What are the price ranges for things like that? Because that to me would be more on the temporary side, because you're going to have, I don't know if you know or have kept up on real estate in this area. Sounds like you were looking for rentals, so you have an idea with studios and things. But things don't stay on the market very long once they're fixed up. And it's not about being fixed up in this case. We're going to get it cleaned up, and it's not going to be Toby's idea to do it. It's going to be whatever the realtor says you have to do to get it sold. That's what we're going to do. If I have anything to say about it, because what I don't want to have happen is you move out and then the house stays stagnant for a few months
and that is my concern.
Okay, well that is
because I know why I'm so motivated to move out. I know why they act like I'm holding things up and they're worried that I won't move out, which I know is a completely bullshit thing. I will absolutely get out if I had some money to make arrangements with. And also to feel like, because I don't trust anything to do with them.
Who's them? Toby?
Yes.
Just Toby.
Toby and his dad.
Okay.
But I don't trust anything to do with them.
Okay.
Every single agreement I thought I was entering into
did
not turn out to be so. I have no trust whatsoever. That is why I'm holding out for a bit of money to get out, because I do not trust that I'm going to get anything anytime soon.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to have a little bit of breathing room so that when things go south or don't, I actually have a little bit of working room so I can make arrangements for if I need to find another place that's cheaper. I at least still have some money to make that happen.
So without having details, putting the details aside, how much do you think you need? Because I can tell you you're not going to get 10 for sure. And I can also, I think, and see, this is the rub. He thinks he can get a loan for another $5,000 from RCU. But he's not inclined to hand you $5,000 while you're sitting in the house.
And it's ridiculous that he thinks I will leave without money first.
Well, that's what I'm trying to figure out. How do we do that and make it such that he's not going to have to, he's just giving you money, and now he's going to have to give me money to go to court to get kicked out. And actually, it wouldn't be a kick out, because we already have a kick out order. It would be contempt, and that is just stupid. It is
very stupid, because the order shouldn't have been able to get it either. And I will deal with it. If that comes down to it, I will deal with it. If I get thrown in jail, I will deal with it. Because I know why this is bullshit.
That's not the point of this meeting. Oh, what time is it? I have to make sure my stuff doesn't get... Okay, I just have to turn this so we can see it at 12:05. Okay. Oh my God. I'll keep doing this. I got to add time. Okay, extend. Let's put another hour, just because I have to get stuff done here anyway. This way. All right. You have to help me here. I can't just tell you what you're going to do, because you are a grown ass woman. Okay, I'm a grown ass woman. I'm actually probably old enough to be your mother. But that being said, you have to help me here. Can you? If I asked you to do some homework, and that homework was, tell me what things you're going to take out of the house, when you can go be out of the house, and
I can't give you when I'm going to be out of the house if I have no money to work with to make arrangements to get somewhere else.
How much money do you need?
At this point,
Not get your teeth done, not do all the things.
Yeah.
Like that. Just tell me how much you need to move out, and then I'll see whether he can scrounge it up or not.
It already sounds like he can't.
Well, tell me how much. He's not going to give you 10. I told you that.
Right.
And if that's the number, then
the number was higher than that.
Okay, then that's unfortunate.
Because I still don't know what I'm even if he could get $5,000. What am I supposed to do with that when $2,000 of it is always supposed to go to my car? And how am I supposed to pay for first, last, the security deposit, and like several months of rent with only $3,000?
I don't know.
Exactly. I don't know either.
Okay.
So if I can't figure out how to make that work, I can't give you a date when I'm going to be out of the house.
Okay.
I'm trying to help you. I'm not getting help in return.
Excuse me?
Yeah, you can be offended if you want.
I am offended.
Yeah, because I'm pretty fucking offended too.
Okay. Then I think that it's a waste of his money for us to be just sitting here trying to determine something that's impossible without that house being sold. And that was not my hope. My hope
it wasn't my hope either.
It was my hope to try to be reasonable about the amount of money and have you move out. And that could be just staying with a friend or staying, I know that you belong to a church, or that's what he said, American Indian?
The Native American church?
Yeah.
Yeah, that community that I was a part of turns out to be highly toxic. I have disconnected highly toxic.
Oh, okay.
The actual individuals in the smaller community I was within, they all turned their backs on me when Toby left me.
Oh my.
Yeah.
Was Toby part of it?
He was a little bit a part of it. We were the golden couple. So basically, when people finally figured out that things weren't golden, they all just basically effect right off. And when I tried to seek help from them, for Toby even, not just for me, they all turned their backs on me and acted like I was just causing problems because I was asking for help, because I was confused, because I didn't know why Toby suddenly left. I didn't know why he was suddenly shouting that I'm delusional and psychotic when my health problems are that bad.
Okay. Well,
none of this has made any
disappointed,
sense.
I'll have to say.
I am highly disappointed as well.
Yeah, it's an unfortunate situation.
It is very unfortunate all the way around. You unfortunately got dragged into a very shitty case.
Yeah, sounds like it. Okay, well, I will talk to Toby and explain what happened or didn't happen, and then it'll be his choice what to do next, not mine. And
I will once again run the gauntlet of these domestic violence services and see if they will actually finally get me proper legal help with this, because this is ridiculous.
Yeah. Well, I'm happy to meet you anyway.
I wish I could say the same, but I'm really, really not happy with any of this. I'm just not.
Okay.